Multiple clubs have shown interest in signing Antony dos Santos from Manchester United. Fabrizio Romano has revealed in an exclusive interview that he had with the agent of the Brazilian attacking midfielder or winger or forward, whatever you want to call him. He says this guy came out and convinced him that indeed there are multiple clubs that would be willing to buy Antony dos Santos out of his misery at Man United. Meanwhile, the blame game is growing, guys, at Manchester United. I'm here to address that a bit. Who is to blame? Is it Ruben Amorim? Is it the players? Is it Marcus Rashford? Or is it Ineos? Because everyone is looking at someone to blame for the woes of Manchester United. The Glazers are beginning to slowly walk out of the picture. At some point, everything wrong at Man United was blamed on the Glazers. Right now, it's Sir Jim in charge of football. People are beginning to bring in Sheikh Jassim back, saying we should have sold to Sheikh Jassim. He's still interested in the club. Guys, we cannot be going back and forth about this. Let's look ahead, focus on the future of Manchester United. My name is Webb. Like, share, and subscribe, and let's get proper into this real football talk on a painful day, guys. I think it still hurts. That loss still hurts because of how it came. Silly red card from the captain. A couple of wrong things that happened. A couple of things went wrong, but guys, the character of a champion is to never give up. Always look positive, look ahead, pick yourself up, and look forward. Now let's pick ourselves up and look forward to what's happening with Man United. Now look, so Fabrizio Romano comes out to reveal that Antony dos Santos is not really unwanted. Like they say, one man's meat is another man's poison. Now, this poison of Man United, to many at least, is beginning to be the meat that many clubs want to sever. I think if you hear that as multiple clubs are interested in Antony dos Santos, for me, it's a very living thing because Antony is one of the few young players who are sellable at Man United, players who can bring in some money. And for me, I love the fact that under Ruben Amorim, he looks to be slowly, in a subtle way, transforming into a player who can be bought, not into a player who can shine at Man United yet, but into a player who has shown signs that he can be bought and play football somewhere. At least he's looking more positive. We saw him coming off the bench, and he's one of those few who came off the bench and put on an impact, trying to make the right wing exciting, trying to create things, not shy to go forward. And you love to see it because if a player is looking like that, then clubs can really have the confidence that they can sign him and make use of him. So if there are multiple clubs interested in Antony dos Santos, then it means there is a possibility, guys, that there could be a bidding war for a player who, to many Man United supporters, is certainly not it. So for me, that's a good sign. That's a promising sign. That's a good situation that Man United is in. Because if United can command, let's say, 40 million quid, 40, even if it's 40 million quid for a player we signed for 85 and has flopped, has a contract until June 30th, 2027, I think for me, it would be okay because Man United is desperate for money, but we are also clear, it's clear now that there are several players, and he's among those. Many of the players at Man United have got to leave. But the sad bit is uh, that most of the players who we want to leave are not players who can command even 20 million pounds. You talk of players like Christian Eriksen, talk of players like Lindelof, talk of some of these players, Malaysia, who is going to pay you even 20 million for them. So if you have an Antony and there are clubs who are showing, yes, he's 23, he's young, he's Brazilian, he has shown at Ajax he can be good, he's looking to be better, trying to build himself back, coming off the bench for Man United under Ruben Amorim. There is some bit of football still in his feet. So for me, I think it's a promising sign. It's a good thing to see, and it's one that inspires hope that indeed Man United can at least try to figure out a few solutions to try and have a better January transfer window, because these links are for as early as January. The clubs that have shown interest in Antony are willing to go in all out for him in January because he has confirmed that Man United, that's the agent, confirmed to Fabrizio that Man United have not come out to him and tell them whether he's not sellable, he's not untouchable or not. But they are smart enough to read between the lines and know that indeed, with what Man United is rebuilding, again, Antony really has really struggled. His surplus requirements. So for me, that's a good sign. But let me leave Antony for a second. And you can tell me how much you think we can get for Antony. But for me, even if it's between 30 and 40 million, because I don't think we can get anything more than 40 million quid, I think for me it would be okay. Fair start, but of course, good riddance for a player who earns crazy wages, but clearly his football has failed to add up. At the very worst, Antony has got to be loaned out. Now, but away from that, guys, the blame game is back. I've seen people bringing back the conversations of Sheikh Jassim. We should have sold to Sheikh Jassim. People are bringing, of course, trying to look for everyone and anyone to blame for the woes at Man United. And I'll tell you, in my 8 years working at Next Media, my last employer, uh, I honestly learned one thing. They've got what they call maxims. We had what they call maxims, and one of the key maxims that I love that really resonated well with me was the one of blame game is not my game. And of course, it's difficult really for something to go wrong and they don't point at someone and you take collective ownership. But you look at Man United right now, and everyone is trying to look at to look for someone to blame. Before it was the Glazers. Glazers say, okay, the club is big, we're making money, and we cannot really, we cannot really keep, taking this flack from supporters and say, okay, let's sell the football department to Ineos. Now, people can't blame the Glazers no more. Of course, they can blame them for the wrongs they did in the past, because again, many of the things Ineos are trying to correct are things that were, of course, inflicted on the team under the guidance of the Glazers. But again, Glazers will tell people now will not bring back the Glazers conversation. Really, it won't make a lot of sense. So Ineos now is already now taking the hits. Again, people are blaming them. Just after a year, I mean, a few weeks ago, I think a few days ago, they made a year. Sergeant Ratcliffe made a year. How time flies, by the way. It felt like yesterday when he took over. But people are blaming Ineos, then others are blaming the coach, Ruben Amorim. A few are blaming players, individuals like Marcus Rashford. So the blame game is all over. But guys, I'll bring back the maxim I learned from Next Media, and I'll tell you, blame game is not my game. Let us not really point fingers. Let us collectively, and I know as fans we get emotional at times, and again as humans, it's who we are. You always want to find someone to blame for something that goes wrong. But I feel like for Man United, we're in a position where we can't blame an individual because no one knows the problem at Man United. Let's be honest. We can sit here, me too, I can sit here and try to talk about this. Today I'll talk about this. The other day I'll talk about Marcus Rashford. The other day I will question Amorim's decision. The other day someone will question Amorim and his back three, how it doesn't work. One time Captain Bruno will be the problem. The other day Rasmus Højlund and the strikers not being clinical. One day it will be Andro Nana. The other day it's Ineos. The other day it's the Glazer. I mean, no one seems to know what exactly the problem at Man United is. So for me, the best thing for us is to collectively be together and say, how do we get ourselves out of this ditch, of this ditch that we find ourselves in? And if we are going to do that, we cannot be pointing fingers. We can create solutions because the weaknesses are glaring. I mean, I can be a weakness, but not a problem. Being a weakness, I think in life we are not all equal. We cannot all be equal at all the time. Marcus Rashford can be a weakness. Højlund can be a weakness. Kobe is a weakness right now in the middle. But it doesn't mean they are the problem. Being a weakness does not really mean you're the problem, if you get what I mean. So let's not really be the people who individualize issues with Man United, because we've clearly tried everything. We've seen everything tried, bought the most expensive players, brought in the best coaches, done everything, but still the results are not coming the way we expect them to. So for me, I think we need to collectively come together and back the team and everything they are trying to do, especially if they do things that we see are right. For example, I think you look at the kind of football that, at least the little improvement that there is in terms of how we play, and it's a positive. You look at it and say, okay, this looks like it can work. This looks like over time it can make sense. The weaknesses in certain areas look like they can be solved. Can we look at solutions for the weaknesses? We need a left back. Can we look at a solution, a wing back? On the left, Dalot is a weakness playing there. He's not the problem per se, but he's a weakness because that's not his natural position, to be honest. It's a weakness. It can be solved. You look at strikers not being clinical. It's a weakness. It can be solved because weaknesses can be worked on and they become strong. I could be weak at speaking, but I can work on it. That doesn't mean I'm a problem. If I have a weakness and I acknowledge it and I'm willing to work on it, for me, I don't see a problem with that. That's the nature of life. So I think for me, this whole hate speech that's beginning to fly around Man United is not good. It doesn't take us anywhere. It's taking us back to where we were. I do believe that Ineos, and that's why they came in, I do believe that we've got to be patient. Solutions are being figured out. There is no transfer window. We cannot come here and every day come here and attack players and, we'll end up saying the same things. Me too, by the way. I'm not, and I'm saying I'm guilty as charged. But I mean, at times you sober up, and when you sober up as a fan, you start seeing the same. The reality is, we are seeing changes happening in time frames. Things cannot be changed overnight. New coach, these players, the coach himself has admitted, were not built for his system. So, meaning he will need to bring in players who can play for his system. But these players cannot be brought in yesterday. They have to be brought in at a particular period in a transfer window. The January transfer window is around the corner. But if we are going to get the players we want in, we need to let go of so many players we don't want. But that again calls for legal implications. How do you then do it? You don't undo things overnight. So there are negotiations going on, there are talks going on. Then there is need for money. You need to find the finances. Where is the money going to come from to bring in the players who we think can play in this system? But in the meantime, games have to happen. They are going on, and we have to play a certain way. So for me, my view is, again, like you said, Amorim said it clearly before, that we've got to suffer. We are going to suffer a lot, but in the end, it's okay to suffer now and be happy later. I'm seeing people saying Amorim cannot play back three with these players, but that's how he wants to play football. That's the style. That's the new direction he wants to take us. He has got to try and teach them how to play this system. Of course, it will take time for them to understand it. They will fail, but are we seeing improvements? Yes, we see they are clear. They are there, but it will take time for them to master. Perhaps some of them will never master because they are not built for that system. But they are still the players he has, and games have got to go on. Games won't pause. So what then do you do? Well, yes, try and appreciate the positives that are there. Emotionally, vent, of course, because that's what we do as fans. We vent our spleen. After a game, after a loss, we're at home to Bournemouth, after a loss to Wolves, we certainly have got to vent our spleen. But that should not block our minds from understanding and appreciating the fact that there are positives. It's a process that we need to trust. But if we start now going into, then how could have won this one? Van Nistelrooy should have won. Van Nistelrooy won with these players. He cannot be doing this. Amorim should change his system. These players cannot do that. Then how are we going to move? Are you saying we should stick with these same players? No, it's a new direction that will take time to sink in, and perhaps different personnel, but it will work. So for me, I'm here to say, guys, let's not be part of the hate speech. I promise myself to be positive going forward. Of course, at times, as any human, I'm human, guys. I'm not God. At times, I forget about it because of my passion, and I just come out and vent as a fan because I'm a fan, guys. This is a fan channel. I'm a fan of the club, but that doesn't mean I can't sober up and know that we are in a process, which process I honestly feel is on the right track. In less than 2 months, we look like a well-coached team, putting good passes together, creating chances. Are we support? It takes time, but when we get the right players in the right positions, trust you me, we shall be able to demand for results consistently. But until then, let's manage with what we have, but don't bring the negativity of taking us back to change the system. This guy was brought in because of how he plays football. It is what Ineos wanted, what he appreciated. It is what beat Man City and all the big teams he has beaten. It can work with the right personnel in the right time. It's a process which we need to endure. Guys, don't think the issues at Man United, which we don't even exactly can't point fingers to, can be solved overnight. No, it will take time. My name is Webb. This is the United Sport, guys. My plea is let's be positive and be excited about the upcoming game against Newcastle. Because I tell you what, it's at Old Trafford. I don't think we're losing at Old Trafford. Another game at Old Trafford. I don't think so. And this is the fun in me talking. Yeah, and that's it is what it is. I've got to back my team anyway.